What has gotten worse over the years? Career advancement. Working your way up from the mailroom is long gone. You have to switch companies to get any sort of significant raise. At my work, once a manager plus gets poached by another employer, one of their underlings takes over temporarily until a suitable outside hire can be poached from another employer. My manager let it slip in a very casual way as to why I didn't get a promotion. You'd be great at that job, but because you are so good at your current job, it would be really hard to find a comparable replacement. Penalized for competence. I was so defeated. My back. My neck. My back. My knees always crack. As a medical student, I can't emphasize enough the importance of good posture, physical therapy, and back exercises. If you do all of these regularly, the chances of having chronic back pain decrease tremendously. Also, weight loss, not smoking, and being physically active will dramatically reduce the risk of arthritis later in life. I've seen countless patients in the clinic who've either mistreated their body or have been obese, and they're paying the price for it now. I can't imagine waking up every day not knowing whether your back will be fine or if you'll be curled up on a ball because the pain is so severe. Blizzard Entertainment. Don't you have phones? Change that to the gaming industry as a whole and nearly all AAA developers. The scumminess is even leaking into independent developers. WoW has gone downhill drastically. Diablo went the way of the money grubber. All I have left is StarCraft, and I'm afraid they are going to kill it. Traffic. My city opened a commuter rail line that runs parallel to the highway I commute on. Traffic actually got better. Traffic is a symptom of something I've noticed over the years. Everything is way more crowded. It's getting increasingly hard to get away from people anymore. Even sanctuaries like national forests and parks are crowded. I suppose population growth is a result of years and years of peace and prosperity. Ads. Ads everywhere, in everything. I can't wait to have to skip ads autoplaying in my glasses in a few years. Unfortunate thing is, in most cases, ads are what's paying for what you're looking at. Speaking largely for the internet, that is, as only radio functions the same. TV is a beast I'd rather not go into. Now ads on sites you pay for are either undercharging or greedy, but undercharging isn't their fault as they have to compete with free alternatives, and that's really hard to do. This is probably the only one I'm old enough to agree with. As a young person, things like dealing with traffic and working are relatively new to me. But I miss when YouTube only played one ad per video, and before the video rather than interrupting it in the middle. Most annoying thing ever. Working in retail. Stagnant pay, massively overworked. Willingness to murder goes up more and more, day after day. Barcode won't scan. Customer, WLIGUS it's FREE. And since the 90s, managers have deliberately understaffed stores and kept each individual worker's hours down to 1 HRWK below the cutoff for benefits. I can still remember a time when half the cash registers at the local Walmart had someone at them, and if you needed help from an employee there was someone in every department. I was 12. Work-life balance. I used to make good money at my old job, but I would work 60 hours weeks. 8-hour shifts would turn into 16-hour shifts with little notice. It took its toll. Worked midnights, little sleep. It was an emergency services to add the extra stress. Got shingles at 26. Finally decided it wasn't worth the money. Quit. Went on a very long hike. Came home and got a regular 9-5 office job. Home at 515 every day. Off holidays and weekend. I'm making less but so much happier now. We pretend to work and they pretend to pay us. Back in the 1970s everyone finished up at 5 PM on the nose. That was you, no more work until 9 AM the following day. There was no flexi time, basically nobody worked from home full time, and taking any work home with you was most irregular. No mobile phones, no internet and VPN, no emails following you everywhere. And you spent your time on proper hobbies. 1970s IT workers and computer operators didn't spend their spare time tinkering with an obscure BSD or doing CTF hacking challenges. They went fishing, to the pub, to go dancing, to the cinema, playing or watching sport. Normal stuff that doesn't involve computers. Compare that to now. The History Channel, Discovery, TLC, MTV, etc. All of these channels are a shadow of what they once were because they are filled with reality TV shows now. I hardly watch TV anymore, and it boggled my mind the other day trying to watch history for the first time in like a decade. All ancient aliens and commercial breaks every 8 minutes. Makes me feel even more certain I'm missing nothing by not watching TV. Google image search. Hell, even the plain Google search has gotten a lot worse. It used to be that Google could pretty much read my mind about what I was searching for, but now I have to be really specific about what I'm searching for, even for basic stuff. Shark Week. It went from informational to just trying to make people believe Megalodon still exists in like 2 years. Shark Week is code for menstrual period in my house. My wife shortens it to shark as in the shark is here. Blood in the water. For a week. My eyesight. How many am I holding up? The whole throwaway mentality and plan obsolescence. My parents had the same TV for like 20 plus years when I was growing up. When it broke, they'd get it fixed. Nowadays, it's just cheaper to replace broken items, more crap goes into landfills, and it's all about the newest stuff. A while back my fridge died on me when I was away. I came home to a freezer full of spoiled meats. I call a repair tech to come check it out, and he informed me that it'd be cheaper to buy a new fridge than for him to repair my current one. We had a talk about how long fridges last and why it's declined so much over the decades. Current fridges are only really stated to last 7-10 years or so. That's ridiculous because fridges and freezers from the 60s are still running. Well, there have been many improvements made over the years that make them more efficient, more effective, cheaper. But part of the reason they don't last as long is because back then there were way more universal parts. Many parts used in refrigeration were also used in other industries. So they were built thicker, they were built to last longer, they were built to be replaced and fixed, and since they were used in so many different industries, the parts were readily available. Nowadays companies might only make a model for a few years, then tweak the design and change the molds or the way things are done slightly, and now there are no longer parts being produced. It can be incredibly hard to find basic replacement parts. Pipes are made incredibly thin, which can make the product cheaper but also affects the lifespan. That's also not necessarily seen as a bad thing if you're a manufacturer selling a long-term item. The idea of planned obsolescence can be a useful thing. If you are worried about a product failing in a dangerous way, you might want to design a part to fail earlier so that it will fail safely. However, I don't think that's really the case, and it's been a growing cancer on engineering and design for decades. Housing prices. Growing up in CA is hard when my mom thinks I can afford a house straight out of college just because my uncle did when he graduated in the 80s. We argued for an hour about it. Frustrated me till now. Cries in millennial. My older, more senior co-worker suggested today I buy an apartment now in Toronto while things are more affordable, bitch. I'd have to save for 10 years just to afford a down payment. Climate. Yup. Pretty sure I saw on the news that Paris reached a record temperature the other day. It's only gonna get worse. My libido. Medical student here. Don't be afraid of going to your doctor. There could be a variety of medical conditions that are causing this. Your doc will be glad to see you and can get the ball rolling on this to figure out how you can fix it and get back to your original self. Decaying, outmoded infrastructure in the US. Bridges, highways, water delivery systems, rails, etc. The boomers inherited top-notch infrastructure and promptly defended everything they could by voting for the people who said they'd put money in their pockets now. Then watched with uncaring eyes as that infrastructure crumbled, all while complaining, how could the government not keep up? This never rings truer to me than when I'm on a road trip. There are countless husks along the interstate of former gas stations, restaurants, billboards, and huge patches of subpar pavement. There's been parts of various interstates along the Midwest and Wyoming that I've genuinely feared for the structural integrity of my vehicle. I've crossed so many concrete bridges that are cracked and crumbling. It's both sad and infuriating. Cost of living. Some older people are so out of touch about this. Just recently moved into a new apartment. But before settling on this place I was talking about the apartment hunt one night with my uncle and he said, well, you should be able to find a nice little 2-bedroom in the city for no more than $700. I almost choked from laughing. Should have seen the look on his face when I showed him the closets with no kitchen that you could get for $700. He was seriously under the impression that you could get a decent 2-bedroom apartment in the downtown area of a popular city for $700 a month. My appearance. I never thought I would have to face the day I see my hairline recede. Edit. But I guess I am kind of lucky that it's becoming more and more noticeable to me at 32 years old. A year ago I didn't even see it. Also, I found hearing somebody else talk about their receding hairline versus experiencing it myself are very different things. My job. I need to find a way out. Strings on dog food bags. You used to be able to open them in one clean pull, but anymore they're junk, they break, and you have to slaughter the bag open. The same is true for plastic packaging where you are supposed to simply peel here. Bullshit. 3 hungry sumo wrestlers and a fat lady couldn't peel that shit open. I have to use scissors every time I open bacon now. Easy answer. Plastic pollution. More obscure but still concerning answer. Topsoil in the Midwest. Gross answer. My athlete's foot. Esoteric answer. Store-bought globe craftsmanship. Drug abuse. So bad where I live. Pretty messed up. The drug abuse is just a symptom of the loss of hope. People grow up in shit places with little chance of things getting better, no matter what they do. The dope is one way to escape that. Chain restaurants, in particular Buffalo Wild Wings and Olive Garden. Social networking and its effects on society. The United States healthcare system. Harder to navigate every year, increasing costs, companies constantly switching insurance providers forcing you to start over on figuring out what is covered and which providers are in network. For a country that keeps proclaiming it's the greatest place on earth, our healthcare system certainly is not. Disney. I wanted to like the new Lion King so much, and while it was beautiful from a technical point, it just does not work as a live-action film. The artistic style and colors that made the original film so memorable were noticeably lost. For example, when Rafiki paints the mane over Simba on the tree. The bright colors just burst off the screen against their darker background, creating a memorable cinematic experience. In the movie, it was just a dull smudge. Cartoon Network. Corporate greed. It seems like everyone is trying to bleed you dry. From banks to mobile providers to fuel prices and the government taxes on absolutely everything. They don't seem to be happy unless you are under crushing debt with your bank account nearly empty. Music. Back in my day we had music with actual meaning and substance. Now we just get nonsense like bebop or lula or some other ridiculous lyrics. And don't even get me started on the electric guitar and that obnoxious rock and roll. Loudest, most annoying instrument on the face of the earth. And this is what the kids are listening to these days? Good music died after the 40s. Society is on the verge of collapse. SMH. Edit. Grammar. Getting a job. In the 80s, you could walk into a store, ask for a manager, submit your resume, have an interview and get a job. Nowadays, you have to go online to a company's job site, answer 30 dumb personality questions, submit your resume, ask for references. What's the point of this? Then, after 5 interviews you might have a chance of getting the job. Why? Why is it so hard to get a job in 2019 compared to when my parents were teenagers? Ease of applying for jobs. It used to be that if you were applying for a minimum wage job, you could walk into any minimum wage business with a hiring sign, ask for an application, get interviewed, and then get the job. Now even minimum wage jobs require at least 1-2 years experience, and they'd rather you fill out an online application or tell you to email your resume to some email that you can't be sure they even check. Privacy. EA. Crowds. Things places I used to enjoy are no longer appealing to me because of other people. I hate crowds. Facebook. Economic opportunities for young people. Entry-level opportunities for 18 or 22-year-olds stink and come with a lot of gotchas, student loans, low pay, bad benefits, high cost of living, and so on. Netflix original series. Shows that start out strong and end on such a weak and diluted note. Orange is the New Black. Arrested Development. House of Cards. Quantity of Girl Scout cookies. Cocaine. It's just all cut crap now. Finding good coke is like finding a loyal hooker. Just doesn't happen anymore.